cannot love, as we shall see in a moment, others without self-love. You cannot be filled with hatred and hostility toward yourself and love somebody else in a healthy manner. You can only get to know other people through knowing yourself. It is through the self that you reach others. You will only get to know yourself if you're surrounded by people who love you and love you in a healthy sort of way. As we shall see, when you're around people who don't love you in a healthy sort of way, you're going to hide parts of yourself from yourself. You're going to become blind to parts of yourself. You're going to be caught up in the emotions of hatred and hostility and revenge and resentment, and your energy and your attention is going to be caught up in those nasty emotions, and you're going to be a nasty person as a result thereof. And as I'll show you in a minute, you're going to be able to love. You're going to be able to, with all of this nastiness, because nasty people do fall in love. Okay? Hateful people fall in love. And we'll see. But we'll see in a minute, it's going to be a peculiar kind of love. It's going to be a love, ultimately, though, that's going to destroy them and the people they love. Many people, I would say a large percentage of children and wives and husbands are destroyed in the name of love. I'm doing this to you because I what? Love you. And yet when you look at what's being done, it's often projecting hate, but hate covered with a veneer of love. So then love that comes from love permits the self and other people to develop. Love that comes from love is liberating. Love that comes from love permits other people to develop their potential. We will see later on that love that comes from hate is love that's destructive, is love that restricts, is love that's possessive, is love that makes the other person a servant of oneself, is love that ultimately degrades other individuals. You see? So in a family, a child has to be raised with love and in a loving sort of way, so that when it loves, it then will create more lovely people and lovely children. Let's look a moment then at the hate instinct. We talked about the love instinct or the life instinct, and now let's look at the death instinct. And there is a death instinct within us. Freud talks about it as saying in man there's an inherent need or desire for him to return to his origins. We, of course, are people, our bodies are made of the earth. Some of you, of course, are familiar with the Bible verse, dust thou art, and to dust thou return. And so he builds this philosophy to a degree by saying then, ultimately, the end point of life is returning back to the earth itself. And of course, there are philosophical issues that this implies. But I think what is more interesting is how the death instinct is expressed. We saw earlier that the love instinct is expressed in many different ways. So is the death instinct. Let's look at some of the consequences. The death instinct expresses itself in terms of hate. That's an expression of death. When you hate somebody, you also often want to do what? You want to kill them. You want to destroy them, hurt them, make them feel pain. So death comes through you onto. You see, resentment is an expression of the death instinct. Hostility, hostile aggression, retarding other people's growth and development. What we call disenhancement, just as love leads to hatred leads to disenhancement, disenchantment. Just as love leads to harmony, hatred leads to disharmony. Just as love then leads to growth by the person you're dealing with, hate leads to restriction, holding them back. We, of course, as people have been the victim of hatred. Hate locked us into ghettos and locked us into poor schooling and locked us into all kinds of corners and ghettos, all types. Hatred then brings about ultimately the death and destruction of other people. We must recognize that the world is a perfect place. And I've often said, though, that means you don't confuse perfection with good. I didn't say it was necessarily a good place. Perfection and goodness are not one and the same thing. You can be perfectly evil as well as perfectly good. Perfection has to do with the precision of a thing, the precision of relations, the lawfulness between a cause and an effect. It talks about then, when you talk about perfection, you're saying surely this thing is always followed by that thing. Now, then the point I'm trying to get at here then is this. If you have hate in your heart, if you have resentment in your heart, if you have anger and fear in your heart, and hostility in your heart, the law of perfection says you are going to create a world that is destructive. You cannot have these emotions in yourself and not produce a destructive kind of world. This, of course, was what Jesus was talking about when he talked about the gospel. Gospel implying what? Good news. When he talks about love thy neighbor as thyself, greet your enemy with what? Love. Because it is love what? God before all else. Be filled with the love of God, and to be filled with God is to be filled with love. And therefore a nation of godly people is not a nation that is racist, not a nation that kills and destroys the earth and kills and destroys its people. You cannot have war, death, and destruction where true just love exists between people. And what Christ was trying to get at then was this. If we could come to others as we love ourselves, if we could come, and notice it says as ourselves, which means we love ourselves as well. And it is through the process of loving oneself deeply that we love other people deeply as well. Out of that then becomes a world filled with love, and the kingdom of God comes to earth itself. In a world, though, filled with hate and resentment and anger, you're going to get a world then filled with war, murder, death, suicide, robbery, rape, violence, and all the kinds of things we see so much about in the everyday news. This is one of the reasons why you know that this nation is not a Christian nation. You got people who go to church. The Christian so-called religion is the predominant religion, but the people are not filled with Christianity by any stretch of the imagination, ladies and gentlemen. If this country was a true Christian country, we wouldn't even be here talking about black men and black women love and all that kind of thing, would we? We wouldn't even be talking about our problems as a what? As a race and as a people. Because that kind of problem would not exist with people who truly love and had the love of God within them. But it is because we don't have that love that we have the kinds of problems we have today. This is why ultimately Jesus and the other prophets can predict the end of the world as being one of death and war, because ultimately people filled with love and egotism and false pride and the other kinds of things are going to bring war and death upon themselves. And this is, of course, is what we see today.
Islam, we want to say honors to the good master teacher, master psychology teacher, Dr. Amos Wilson, for that intro. It's called, it's on YouTube, Dr. Amos Wilson on Love and Self-Hate, Fear. It's running rampant right now. The fear campaign, they're going hard, right? The, you know, the new idiot box computer, the new idiot box has people tripping and don't even know that they're tripping themselves. Oh yeah, Islam to all the Moors worldwide, peace and love to everybody. After that, by Brother Amos Wilson, we just want to stress a point. Chapter 47, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself, or herself. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of North America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of America, and that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You recognize love as the first principle, you know, and then go back to Brother Amos Wilson, and you know him making the acknowledgement that Jesus and all the other prophets could foresee things happening. Because, you know, if it's not on love, then vibration's already off. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. And then we go back again to CMB, who created our own laws and customs in conjunction with what Noble Jew Ali laid down. And not only CMB, remember, in conjunction with the Prophet. Not only CMB, this is Dr. Alim El-Bey, First World Order. Nabi Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the Royal Regent of the Empire Washata de Duc de Mont des Amours, and the 5th Marquis de Maison Rouge, was the founder of the Old Canaanite Temple, 1913, the Holy Moabite Temple of Science of the World, 1916, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, 1916, Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, 1916 to 1919. Note, during the same year, 1916, the so-called Jewish people established the Zionist movement. The Moorish Science Temple, 1925-1926, the Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc., 1928. Note, in 1929, just a year later, the Vatican followed suit and formed a papal state, being incorporated in Rome, Italy. Noble Jew Ali was a family member of the Tunica Turner tribe. Prophet Noble Jew Ali's mother's maiden name was Turner. Her name was Eliza Turner. Before 1910, Timothy Drew was a member of the Moorish Zionist Temple in Brooklyn, New York, founded and established in 1899 by Leon Richelieu. Moorish Zionist Temple, hence the origin of the name Moorish Science Temple. Phonetically, Zion sounds close to the word science. Prophet Noble Jew Ali in 1913 moved to Newark, New Jersey, formed the Canaanite Temple. 1913 happened to have been the same year that the Federal Reserve Bank the Internal Revenue Service, and the Birth Certificate Department were all formed. These are not mere coincidences. Note, co means two. These are more than two incidences. All Moorish groups are part of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Therefore, we of the Washita, the Dug de Mount de Moors, do not debate on who is the rightful successor. There is no proof of anyone. It is all mere opinions and speculations, whether it's Edward Mealy Ill, John Givens Ill, Charles Kirkman Bay, David 4L, Matterford, Dingle L. Brothers, Timothy and Richardson, etc. It does not matter. We are all Moors by birthright and nationality, not by groups, organizations, societies, etc. Oh yeah. Note, it is stated in the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Science Temple of America 101 teachings that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was raised up on a Cherokee reservation in the state of North Carolina. The Kohari, remnants of Cherokee, Tuscarawas, Neusiok, Neusiok, that were not moved during the Trail of Tears. Reservation is located near the city of Clinton in the county of Sampson in the state of North Carolina. Clinton, county of Sampson, state of North Carolina is where that reserve is. Drew Ali was said to have been raised up on. So, just putting that out to show that forming under the covenant, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the Holy Prophet, Washita, and because, you know, he's a direct family member, and CMB, right? And then now you hear Nation of Islam talking about, yeah, from the beginning we used to honor Noble Drew Ali and stuff like that, you know. And that still stands today, that we should honor Noble Drew Ali and all that. So, you know, everybody's realizing that you can't play around. You have the Prophet up front and claim that you're doing something for the upliftment of our people, because it doesn't work like that if you're not the Prophet. If you're not the one who laid down the groundwork for these Asiatics in America to be somebody, then, you know, you're useless. I, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day which is sure to come. Remember what Amos Wilson said, all the prophets, they already know that during the time that they were living in, people weren't dealing with love. That's why they came pushing love, because obviously there was only war and destruction going on around them, which is why they were sent. Which is why the people should be considering what these individuals are presenting, because it is for the people's salvation. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery. So-called black man. So don't get mad. Don't get whatever. Do like everybody else. Get out of a slave status. Proclaim your nationality. And then start taking your place amongst the affairs of men. Because every nation has suffered slavery. And what did they do? Jews suffered slavery, and they said, we're going to make a fake nation. And now they're, you know, recognized with their fake nation. Whoever that's dark-skinned, that calls themselves something other than Moors, made up fake nations, and they're still not getting nothing. Maybe because they're faking. Maybe because you're calling yourself the wrong nation. If you call yourself the right nation, then maybe you would be able to get some. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. Due to the fact, and still today, they don't honor their forefathers. They're going to call themselves Callaway and talk BS about Moors when they're Moors. They're going to call themselves Bullets, talk BS about Moors, but they're Moors. Now they're dirty Moors, right? You know, don't think like we say black scholars, we mean that they're black. No, they're dirty Moors. That's why we could still call them black scholars. Because that's the dirty of the dirty. Somebody who has a nationality and they don't want to be that, can't get dirtier than that. That is why the nationality of the Moors, not the nationality of the blacks or the Africans or whoever else our people claim to be, the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. So that means in 1774, we were Moors. And our nationality was taken away. Now we're all these fictions. And the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, whom they knew nothing. So we come to the realization that because, you know, we have the principles and nobody else pushes principles other than Moors. And love is the first principle. And Amos Wilson came and told us about love, and I mean, if that's one of our principles, then we must be on to something right. Noble Drew Ali must have been on the right track. If Amos Wilson all these years later is telling our people that, you know, it's really about love, self-love and all that stuff, you know, have identity and all that, you know, not hate yourself. The real con is the conscious people. Islam to Brother Matadiel. The real con is the conscious people. The real we'll say thorn in the side of our liberation. Thorn might be, you know, a metal bar at times, not just a thorn. Or these people claim that they know their self. But when you ask them their nationality, they're going to make up some invisible, artificial stuff. Right? Now, you know, it's all on you. Everybody knows that it's on our people. Remember, Moors, we're not part of the Negro, Black, African, conscious, back to Africa BS. We're not part of that. So, you know, we're not in that, like that, right? We engage enough people that we know that people know that we're Moors. All our people, no matter where they're from, once they look like us, dark skin or have quote-unquote melanin, they're Moors. So Thursday, November 2nd, 24 newspaper, free newspaper, front page. Guess what? They're asking all these Negroes, especially the sisters, because the sisters should be the ones really paying attention, because, you know, they're talking to them based on what, who they're using. So they're going to ask these people, right? Remember, specifically sisters, because already sisters, you already know Shamar, you already know Shamar sisters. Stop this. Don't play like you don't know Shamar. Don't play like you don't know. Right? Come on, front page, asking all you sisters. Don't get caught up in him because his last name is Moore. They're putting it out for everybody. But they're specifically talking to the sisters because, they already know that, the fallen one is the woman. And once the woman wakes up, then everything is going to be easy peasy for us as a people. Once a woman wakes up. If she didn't wake up, then, here we are. Right? Dealing with the self-hatred. Again, which is because of patriarchal mindsets. Right? So, these whack jobs that call themselves, educators of our people or whatever, are the biggest self-haters because they're going at Moors. Who is really them? The biggest form of self-hatred is not loving yourself. Okay, well, if they're Moors and they're making all these videos about themselves, dissing themselves, that's a psychological issue. This is going beyond the realm of education and whatever. Now, we're talking about people who have psychological problems. It's no different than this joker Nature Boy right now. Right? Like, everybody knows only Nature Boy is Ric Flair. Ain't no other Nature Boy than Ric Flair. Anybody else saying they're Nature Boy, you're a fraud. It's just that simple. Because the first Nature Boy was Ric Flair. Right? Now, Islam to brother Mario L. too for putting him on blast. Talk BS about Moors himself, but then talk about Moors need to help do something. But what do you mean? Why? Why? And now, Moore just told me that they're going live right now. Right? Moore's going live right now talking about he has sex with his son's mom in front of him and lets his son, I guess, or him or whatever, play with his phallus or whatever. Live. These are the people out here that's waking people up. The self-haters. The people who don't have any love for themselves. They have so much lack of love for themselves that they're trying to convince you, just like Brother Amos was saying, oh, those people don't love themselves either. Those are the people that I need to get down with. No, those are the people you should be staying the hell away from. But again, we're looking at the dynamic of the so-called people who claim that they're conscious or whatever, but they're the biggest self-haters because they are Moors. I don't care what they say that they are. I don't care what 23andMe stuff they're going to pull out and try to tell you that they're not Moors because this says that they're from the Congo or whatever. Well, they're Moors. That's just what it is. They can play that there's something else all they want. That's up to them. They can play. You know what I mean? We're not going to say don't play. You want to play, play. It's on you. But don't get caught up in thinking that these individuals that claim that they know their self, right, aren't really the ones, like when they talk about, these same people, they talk about self-hate, they talk about, well, the guy who likes the European, and the guy who whatever, and the guy who does this, and the sister who, perms her hair, she is self-hate. That's not the self-hate people. The self-hate people are the ones who don't want to be Moors. That's who the self-hate people are. Because we know sisters with perms that say that they're Moors. And they got knowledge of self and all that stuff. They give honors to Noble Juali and all that. So you're not even hearing that BS about a perm makes somebody have self-hate. That ain't, not in this time. Just like Dr. Amos was breaking down, that, if you think in this time you're going to really have, the family and to get married, and no, that's a divorce ritual if you do that. Because guarantee that's not going to last. Just because. Check the track record of how much of those fail. More than how much are successful. And like Dr. Amos is breaking down, to stay in that mindset of not realizing that, hey, this is not working. Maybe we should do something else, because this thing that we've been doing for the past how much ever years, based on the track record, not opinion, based on what we see, this shit ain't working. Right? For years, they've been playing Negro, Black, African, conscious, or whatever. Switching up, changing up flags and all types of stuff. God nowhere. And opposed to, instead of saying, well, the only thing we haven't tried to be is Moors. I mean, we've tried to be everything else. Tried to be nature boys, that failed. Tried to be ancient Egyptians. If you're modern, you can't be ancient, so that failed. Try to be languages. Try to be adjectives, continents. Nothing works. How about honor your foremothers and forefathers? How about listen to what the past people have told you? That, they got all these books on the shelf. They're claiming that they put some people on or whatever. But they're not even teaching the stuff from the people who were before them, that they say that they honor. So we keep bringing up Khalid and these people. Even Farrakhan, he's coming out, he's saying that he knows who Noble Juali is and all that. Like, how is he telling you who Noble Juali is? And he's just not interested. When that's Farrakhan talking. How's Farrakhan telling you guys that you guys are jackasses for going and applying to get an X? When the Moors, after Noble Juali died, that came into the NOI, kept their L in Bay. You think he's not calling all the NOI members with an X a dumb jackass? You really think he's not? Yeah, he's calling them jackasses to their face. And they're going to clap and all that stuff. You know what I mean? They're going to clap and all that. Hey, good speech and all that stuff. Yeah, but he told you all that. These people kept their name. And you guys are applying for a letter to be a name. Because you don't know who you are. Well, there's Moors in the NOI who know who they are. You just, why you apply for an X when you got a Bay and an L and whoever sitting right next to you? They dress like NOI. This is again where you have to wonder now, how many people were really X's back then? Because if Fard Muhammad taught Noble Juali, according to, you know what I mean? If Fard Muhammad taught Noble Juali, then Fard Muhammad knows about Moors, he knows about nationality, birthrights, he knows about, let's just say Fard's a prophet and he taught Noble Juali. Okay, well, Fard knows everything Noble Juali knows. So why is Elijah Muhammad and stuff, black Asiatics and stuff like that? And early, they should have been doing Moorish right through. If Fard taught Noble Drew Ali, but the ones who don't want to be Moors are the real self-hating people that you need to stay away from, especially if they're going hard about not being Moors. If they're gonna have a 30-minute video, a 30-minute video, 40-minute video, and say the last 30 minutes, the last 15 minutes, you start seeing Taj picture, Noble Drew Ali's picture, these people talking BS about sovereign citizens and whatever like that, show RV Bay logo, show a Lodial nationality card, talking about, yeah, this is fraudulent, the FBI, you know what I mean, and saying that these guys are a fraud and all that type of stuff. Well, then doesn't that mean these people are working with the FBI if they're going to use the FBI to say that, you know, because again, you know, FBI come check Moors, knock their door, go to their work and all that stuff, and ain't no issue. They're not tying Moors to no sovereign anything. You know what I mean? Have a nice day. And they're gone about their business. Right? Know that it's libel, it's slander, it's defamation of character on themselves when they talk about that. When they talk negative about Moors, Fez is a bucket hat. That's his bucket hat that he doesn't want to claim because he hates himself. Talk BS about nationality. Talk BS about things that Moors do. That's their stuff too that they're talking BS about. They're talking like this is only our stuff. This is birthrights. Every dark-skinned person, especially these African Negroes who are the cons of consciousness, are Moors. Whether they want to be it or not is up to them. But they are Moors. And they're going to be classified as dirty Moors moving forward. We're not even playing the game with them about they're black and all that stuff. Hell out of here. You guys are dirty Moors. All these people talking against RV Bay Publications, talking against Taj Tariq Bay, talking against Kudro L, talking against Canaanland Moors, talking against right to travel, talking against how we got the flags, talking against us saying that we're Moroccan, talking against, you know what I mean, us making sisters wear their fez, talking against us letting a European exercise as a bay to protect himself from these colonists who's trying to take him out too, talking against whatever we have to deal with. Those are the dirty Moors. Those are the self-hating Negroes that you need to watch out for. Because no nationality is no different than, you know, a killer and a thief. Which one's worse? You know, the killer, you already know. The thief, you already know. But if you have a liar, you don't know what to expect with a liar. They might be a killer today, a thief tomorrow. They might say, hi, how you doing today, and stab you in your back tomorrow. Same thing with these Moor-hating people. They're like the liar, that you're not really sure. You know, it's no different than like what Garvey said. You know, well, you know, I'd rather deal with the KKK because at least I know they hate niggers. They're not confusing me with how they're coming. They're letting me know up front. Listen, man, we lynch niggers. So he knew how to deal with them when he engaged them because they were being honest, brutally honest up front with him. Same thing with Al-Hajj, NOI, whoever else met with the KKK. Right? Noble Drew Ali. Right? And again, the people of the past, we talked about this in class, that forget about some new buck who just wrote some book about some BS. Forget those guys. Go back to the old school. Right? All you new ball players, go watch some old school stuff and see how you guys suck today. See how much it sucks to be on a team of superstars. Now you're a superstar, but you have to ride bench like a punk just because. Super team is what it is. That ain't what it is. That ain't ball. That's BS. Flopping, traveling, all that stuff, BS. Slap guys on their ass, all that stuff is BS. Go back to the old school. You listen to pink hair guys, rainbow mouth guys. You know rainbow is a... So you don't listen to rainbow mouth guy, but you're not going to listen to Cool G rap? You know, you don't even know who that is, because you go back to the old school and see how they're playing you out of your own stuff. That all the teachers laid down. Remember, these people rep Amos Wilson. They rep him. He wrote the blueprint for Black Power. Like, what do you mean? Like, he wrote the blueprint for Black Power. The blueprint. If you don't know what that is, you go look up blueprint. No, not Jay-Z and all that stuff. Right? He wrote the blueprint for Black Power. See what he has to say. And again, you know, you can... Because it just clicked. You know what I mean? That, damn, it's really... The more haters are the self-hate people. It's not the people that we've been thinking is the people who self-hate. The guy's bleaching so he hates himself. No, that's not... He's confused. He doesn't hate himself. He's more confused than he hates himself. The people who don't want to be Moors, that's the epitome of self-hate. That's the boule of self-hate, are the people who don't want to be Moors. The echelon of self-hate are the people who they're going to talk BS about their own nationality and birthright. That they're Moors, but they don't want to be Moors. They'll be everything else. Page 125. Sociogenetic maladaptiveness. Remember, he's a psychology, right? He's a psychologist. He's not just one of these niggers out here in front of a camera on the street telling you about some BS. Right? He got that good European education that Noble Drew Ali told Moors go get so he could use them. They might not know that they're being used, but trust me, if he's going to put out blueprint for Black Power, somebody used him. Some entity used him. Because he was very clear with what it was going to be if we want to liberate ourselves. He was very clear. We emphasize the reclamation of the African identity by African people and their construction of an African-centered consciousness, because we recognize that it was and is the repression of these two factors that made the mental conquest and continuing domination of African peoples possible. The reclamation of the African identity by African people, right? So them reclaiming their identity. keep in mind, he's over here. So don't think we're talking about people who on the continent who got their nationality and stuff like that. We're not even talking about them Africans. We're talking about these Africans over here who are down to be a continent. Want to make a continent their identity. Well, he said reclamation. In order to reclaim something, you would have had to have it. So you're not getting something new that you just made up because you think that, oh, we'll call ourselves this and then that's reclaiming our stuff because, you know, we know it's already established. And the only reclamation you can do is the proclaiming of your nationality. Right? Because everything that you quote unquote get is going to be based on what's your name? Who are you? Oh, you're Smith? Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Smith. That's a cool dashiki you got on there, Mr. Smith. But that name doesn't reflect dashikis. That's just what it is. The repression out of consciousness of their original identity and consciousness is essentially what is referred to as alienation or self-alienation. Self-alienation. Why? Because they're repressing their own stuff. They're taking their culture and doing like this. Their Moorish culture. We don't want it. We don't want it. We're not Moors. We're not Moors. And then they have all these people backing them. We're not Moors. We're not Moors. We don't want to be Moors. Fez came from Turkey. Whatever they make up. Moors enslave Congolese people. Whatever. Self-alienate themselves. Which goes back again to why Brother Taj Street Bay did that little video interview with them people talking about why the world doesn't respect black people. Because you're over there on an island like a dumbass. When you have a culture, you have something that you can claim. But you want to claim it? Amos Wilson told you, if you better claim your original identity, your original identity definitely is not African. Because that's not even an original name, so it ain't that. And we use the example again, over and over and over and over and over again, that as soon as you go past slavery, you have 800 years of Moorish history that you have to deal with. Forget about anything else before you deal with that 800 years. And if you don't want to deal with that 800 years, then clearly you're filled with self-hatred. Filled with it. When the repression of African identity and consciousness, the refusal to learn African history and culture are motivated by shame, guilt, anxiety, fear, embarrassment of being identified as an African or more, because really that's what it's come down to, right? That they're taking this fear position about being a Moor because they saw something. And they're embarrassed about being a Moor because the Moor's window got busted in by some highwayman. And they don't want to go through that embarrassing situation because, you know, they might get uploaded to YouTube that this happened to them or whatever. Right? When the African person uses these attitudes and feelings to reject his African identity and heritage, the identity and heritage being an objective fact, whether he accepts it or not, whether they accept it or not, it's an objective fact that this identity exists. Whether they claim it or not, that's up to them. They don't have to. You know, we're not begging anybody to do anything. But trust that we know by them not claiming it, They're casting themselves further and further away from the reality. Right? They're absorbing more into the illusion and leaving reality. They're being engulfed by the fiction. They're being engulfed by the fiction. When the African person uses these attitudes and feelings to reject his African identity and heritage, then we refer to that person as self-hating or self-alienated. The general attitude is one of self-hatred. In being ignorant of self-alienated or in rejecting his objective, historical, cultural identity, the person is compelled to assume a new identity, albeit a false one, or suffer identity confusion, ambivalence, or a lack of self-definition, usually characterized by a chronic search for purpose and meaning. If you're chronically searching for purpose and meaning, you're a zombie. Because only zombies walk around with no purpose. Zero purpose. Only zombies walk around don't knowing who they are, what they are. They're just walking around. They're just a shell. Just going through the motions. Remember, go watch that movie Cell. If you never, Samuel L. Jackson's in it too. Just go watch the movie Cell if you haven't watched that movie. To understand the zombification that's going on and how rapid it is. And it's only based on these so-called Negro black colored people and people who choose to hang out with them, chill with them, whatever like that, that get trapped in this negative time warp of not knowing anything, being so close-minded that they'll be so close-minded that they'll see a Moor with a fez on and they'll just stare and not ask any questions. While at the same time, while they're staring, some European's going to run up, or some Asian's going to run up, or some Arab's going to run up, some African's going to run up. Somebody from some other culture is going to run up and want to hug the Moors and take pictures with the Moors and build with the Moors, and you know, and they're sitting there staring, wondering, how come? And then they just stop there. They don't even go. They can't even get past how come. Now again, this happens regular when Moors are being themselves. That you get the if you see in when they hit, there was one NBA thing when they hit Draymond with the MK Ultra, and then he was just staring with his mouth open, just staring into nothingness, and like cameras were on him, like and he was just out of here, right? Don't be self-hating because you see somebody else self-hating, which is again something that runs rampant in our community. That they're not going to follow the good that the people do. They're going to follow the BS to show solidarity, support, whatever, to some BS. The good stuff, they're not even paying attention to that. The wonderful works that Moors do. Like we said, there's Moors that go out there. We know people see them. Just doing volunteer work. Moors who just live their life. You know what I mean? Like, they just live their life. They're not part of nothing, they're not whatever like that. They're Moors, they know that they're Moors, and they go live their life. And in them living their life, there's interaction with people that we know our people see? Do our people take any steps to do anything with regard to finding out more about this? No. Why? Because the socio-genetic maladaptiveness that they can't even get themselves in the position. Why? Because they continue to want somebody to do the things for them that they should be doing for themselves. Again, sign of zombies. If you realize that, opposed to read this book, you go watch this YouTube video, hear this guy talk about this book that I could read. You're borderlining, you're teeter-tottering on being a zombie cult follower. Just ask all the people, the Nature Boy. Ask all the Ric Flair people. All the Ric Flair people who left him. Like, thanks a lot, for everything that you did, but, we gotta do our own thing over here. Right? The self-hating people. And remember, it all even goes down to energy. Because even one of those sisters that was down with that stuff was talking about she's from New Orleans or in New Orleans, whatever. Right? Ever since a child, she was tapped in on some different levels. Got with this guy, went to Costa Rica, lost all her stuff. All her powers just disappeared automatically. Then as soon as she get herself away from the demon, back to her own stomping grounds, or went back to the old school, everything opened back up again, stronger than it did before. Imagine if she never left. Imagine she was focused on loving herself instead of focused on loving some clown that, ain't about nothing but self-hate. You know what I mean? Nothing about self-hate. That's all they deal with. So as soon as you hear these people start talking up about Moors and they're not Moors and all that, know that they are the same self-hating people that they warned us about on the plantation. The house niggers. Who, the field niggers told people, don't get caught up. Because once you go inside the house, you're done for. Right? Because the biggest self-haters are in there. The biggest self-haters are the ones that are game to stay on the plantation. The ones that are about it for the plantation. Right? Blueprint for Black Power. Amos Wilson. All these people rep him, but they're not going to go with the fact that, they're not going to go with the fact. Because remember, he's psychologist. He's really a mental doctor. And he really catered to the mental problems of his people. Same thing with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Same thing with Dr. Naim Akbar. And, whoever else is psychology scholar out there. Right. Page 240. Black Bourgeoisie. Black Political Establishment Alliance Against African Liberation. Remember, we're talking about the self-hating people. We're talking about the people saying, you're not Moors. You're not Moors. You're black people. You're African. But you're not Moors. And then remember, especially as we're reading this, African and Moor are synonymous. So every time you hear African, in your mind think Moor. Moorish, Moroccan, Morocco, anything relative to Moors when you hear African. Especially when we're dealing with this black bourgeoisie part. Right? Don't worry about Bernhardt or whatever, the W.E.B. Du Bois, he's boule. Don't worry about him. We're not even dealing with those boule. We're talking about the low-level boule. The boule who's on YouTube and makes YouTube videos. We're talking about that boule. Specifically the ones that talk against your nationality and birthrights as a Moor. Specifically them. Right? Since Afrocentrism and the Afrocentric movement encompass black nationalism, advocate an economic and social philosophy contrary to that of the ruling white establishment, are avowedly committed to the overthrow of white supremacy and to the development of Pan-Africanist solidarity and independence. All such orientations, which are viewed with alarm by the white powers that be, it is obvious that the black media is currently constituted will be of little direct value for achieving true African liberation. In fact, they may retard its progress in this regard. Consequently, the Afrocentric movement and the movement to develop authentic African power at home and abroad must continue to develop alternative means of its own to reach the African masses. The ideological struggle for African power will therefore involve ideological struggle against not only the white media establishment, but also the black media establishment. The latter establishment must be subverted by various means into serving the power interests of the African community or its political and ideological voice, and clout must be muted by a more vigorous, relevant, and practical African-centered media ideological process. Whatever pressure the black liberation movement can bring to bear against the black media establishment in order to reach the masses of African Americans must be applied. The socio-political role played by the black media establishment must become the object of scholarly and utilitarian analysis and critique. The thoroughgoing critique of the black press has been too long delayed since Frazier's critique. The relationship of the black media establishment with the black political establishment should be the focus of intense critical analysis from the national and Afrocentric perspective. For as Frazier so pointed out, the orientation of the black political establishment is that one with the black bourgeoisie media establishment and the black bourgeoisie as a whole. He observed as follows: since the black bourgeoisie is composed chiefly of white-collar workers, and since its small business enterprises are insignificant in American society, the black bourgeoisie wields no political power as a class in American society. Nor does the black bourgeoisie exercise any significant power within the Negro community as an employer of labor. In the political life of the American society, the Negro political leaders, who have always had a middle-class outlook, follow an opportunistic policy. They attempt to accommodate the demands of Negroes for better economic and social conditions to their personal interests, which are tied up with the political machines, which in turn are geared to the interests of the white proprieted class. They attempt to accommodate the demands of the Negroes. They got the YouTube videos going up every whatever. You know, throw keywords in there to get the people's attention. But you realize that, you know, these people who's putting out videos recently, they start giving you PayPal info and stuff like that. They start telling you, thank you for your donation, but then they're greeting you as a Moor in silence. But they're not Moors, but they're gonna thank you for your donation. But they're not Moors. They talk BS about Moors, but, you know, thanks for your dollar. Why? Because they're not about making labor for their people, which is really what, you know what I mean, it's supposed to be about. You know what I mean? If you're liberating them, either you're liberating them to work for themselves or you're creating something for them. It's not supposed to be self-loathing. It's not supposed to be hit your people up to get some donations. That you're not giving them anything. You're telling them that they're not Moors, which is pretty much giving them nothing. You're telling them that they're everything except Moors. Well, yeah. That's why we have a prophet. The Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, it's your own that's going to put your ass in slavery. It's your own. And he was specific. Turbans and feathers are going to put you back in slavery. They attempt to accommodate the demands of Negroes for better economic and social conditions for themselves. Right? Going back to that thing, that they must hate their brother. For them to hit up their brother, knowing that they wouldn't hit their brother up. Knowing that they probably never even bought nothing from an Asiatic before. Because when you look at them, they got, you know what I mean, baseball hats on and they're not exercising nothing that looks like our culture. When you look at them people, the more hating people. How much fiat that they give New Era? They even check to see who created New Era. Like who started that? Probably wasn't an Asiatic. Their personal interests are tied up with the political machines, right? This is why our YouTube channel is going to get striked and can't stream, right? Our YouTube channel is going to get striked and we can't stream until January 2018 because we uploaded somebody else's video and then somebody said we're bullying, but they didn't say the person who initially uploaded the video is bullying, right? This is what we're saying about they're tied up with the political machines. But, you know, Dane Calloway could diss Morris Science Temple, show Noble Drew Ali's picture, call him sovereign citizen and all that stuff. We make complaint and then his stuff's still up. But our stuff get blocked when he makes complaint. Right? But why? Because he's the 5,000 view guy. They're eating off him. Why would they want to destroy their lunch meal? All these 50,000 view people, 25 million subscriber people, YouTube's eating off them. No different than the guy who said he went platinum. But if you went platinum, then what do the owners get? If they can pay you 25 million a year for 15 years to play on a team, how much do they make? How much? The black media, political establishment, alliance can best be seen in its almost uncritical and very adulteratory support for black politicians. The black media lionizes black incumbents without critical examinations of their records and supports black candidates for political office essentially on the basis of their blackness. No different than what we're seeing with these people coming out as scholars 2 years ago. Why never check them? No different than we say with make sure you check, baby pictures. Somebody sent me a video the other day, for example, of a video talking about, what's it called again? Men that became beautiful women. Men that became beautiful women. Now, if you never seen that, you might go out here and mess yourself up. If you're, like how, men were back in the day saying man's a cox man. Right? Because he has enough girls. And, notches in the bedpost and all that stuff. Well, in this day and age, that might not be a girl. It's scary what's going on. Right? Remember, that's its own realm. Right, we're talking about people who claim to be scholars, claim to want to teach people, but nobody check the stuff. Nobody checked their baby pictures. Right? Like we said, we give honors to Taj Street Bay because we know he's an ancient return. Just go to the convention picture, look to the left of the picture, you'll see a guy kind of standing away from everybody else, and you tell me if that's not Taj Street Bay or a family member or something like that. Right? That was 1928 or whatever. Right? So he goes back to at least back then. Right? Somebody had a picture with brother Obashango L, brother Toriano. Then there was a picture of an ancient somebody who looked like him. Right? So check his baby pictures, see that he's that heavy today because he's been around. It's not first time going through the stuff. He's been around. Right? But all these people, go check. See how long they've been around. Especially, again, the self-hating people who are going into this, they're not Moors, we're not Moors campaign. Right? Moors are sovereign citizens. You don't want to be a Moor. Check how long they've been around and ask yourself, where were they, and just, if you use five-year increments and then go back, where were they 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I mean, there was people teaching, and half these people weren't even born yet. They didn't even come out their dad's nuts yet. But they're talking BS about morals. And they're talking BS about people who've been doing stuff longer than they've been alive. Right? Now again, their personal interests, which is popularity, because we already told you that this is also Revenge of the Nerds time. Right? And it's been, from before, what I mean? Sarasut and Seti is one of those nerds. That now, they got, they've been working out and stuff like that. They think now they're somebody. And again, we're going to put it on the record. Aleem wiped the floor with him with one slide. One slide. Wipe the floors with him. That's it. Right? The people are so dumbed down that they don't even realize the bourgeoisie in their own stuff. Getting 17 grand from people. Telling people that people molest people and then retracting statements. They don't know if that's real. Leaving where they're at to go be with some cult leader, whoever. Lose all their spiritual powers and all that stuff. Right? Fat boys who don't go anywhere. All they do is sit behind their computer, make videos, but they're not doing nothing in the community. Everything's from their house. Every video. One video they go outside and do something. Think that that's something? No. These people, their interests are tied in with the political machines. YouTube is a political machine. For every right video, there's 8,000 wrong videos. For every good more that has a video on YouTube, there's 500 dirty mores saying opposite of what that one more said. Right? And we're saying again, man, this is not something that, they don't know. Something they don't know. Right? StuartSynopsis.com. StuartSynopsis.com. Wagering Webster's Warped Dictionary, Chapter 6. Webster claims to be the authoritative core of the English vocabulary. Webster affirms a staff of professional lexicographers providing the reader with a concise and handy record of the English vocabulary. The Webster Dictionary is an American icon to which readers give credence. Webster tells the reader that Egyptians are members of the Caucasian race. Encyclopedias tell the reader the origin of Egyptians is unknown, but were probably members of the Caucasian race. The Egyptians refer to themselves and their country as Kem, meaning black. The issue of racial identity in Egypt, past and present, has been subjected to distorted politics and scholarship. Today, Egyptian society is regarded as white Arab and its black African roots and population marginalized and in many instances denied an existence or any association with the civilization that made the greatest contribution to mankind. Why? Because they self-alienate themselves by saying black African or black Egyptian. And some pale Arabs took over. It's the ancient Egyptians wanted to be something that they're not. Because everybody knows that Egyptian ain't what they are. Napoleon Bonaparte's destroying of the black African portraiture in the faces of the Sphinx in the 18th century is but among the plethora of direct actions to disassociate the glory of Kemet, known today as Egypt, from the Africans who founded this civilization of civilizations. Currently, Africans who founded this civilization, or currently, reclaiming Egypt's African past faces opposition from its overwhelming Arab present and Europeans internationally in all spheres of power who find it more profitable and believable to imagine that ancient Egypt was not African. The same way that the people say that they find it more liberating and it's more captivating to the people to debate Moors. Right? It's the same thing. Distort the history. Have zombies not have a correct perspective? How can they? They're zombies. And the only thing that's going to wake them up is themselves. Not to be discouraged by these efforts, African scholars such as Dr. Manu M. Pim continue to reaffirm Kemet's Africanness in order to foster human capacity, potentials, and possibilities in Africans everywhere. Encyclopedias also play eradication games, substantiating the Egyptian civilization as the oldest in the world with written records dating back 6,000 years, but the origin of the Egyptian civilization then becomes unknown. The pages of reference books that line our schools, colleges, and public library shelves revere the entire world as white. Quote unquote. Webster tells the reader that a Moor is a Caucasoid. It seems ironic that after seeing pictures of Shakespeare's Othello in 1995 movie starring Lawrence Fishburne shows the Moor Othello as a black man. But the truth can still be concealed by Webster and his team of lexicographers. So what's up with that? Following are some more of Webster's warped definitions. Moor, one of North African people of Arab and Berber ancestry who conquered Spain in the 8th century. Berber, a member of a Caucasoid people of northwestern Africa. Arab, a member of a Semitic people of the Arabian Peninsula in southwestern Asia. Well, the illusion, again, because our people can't read, it's no different than a Moor. A Moor was telling me a story about his family in the Americas. So, the patriarch of the family, great-great-great-granddad or whatever like that, wrote some letter that was supposed to be passed down to all the generations or whatever. So, this Moor gets the letter, and the letter is an explanation of the estate of the family. how far it goes, where you can go, do whatever like that, what's on the property, where that pole is, where that whatever is, so that you can, you know what I mean? Everybody has their portion marked off in this letter or whatever. Moore just got the letter, right? Letter been in the family generations or whatever. Moore read the letter, and from what I understand, the reason why family didn't share the letter is because family thought that granddad tripping and he can't read and he was illiterate and all that stuff. They don't know. He goes and does research on granddad, come to find out granddad's like some Benjamin Banneker or something like that. And then he's reading through the letter and he's realizing that it ain't grand that's messed up. It's you Negroes that's messed up. It's you guys that can't read, because he's extremely clear in the letter what the hell this is about. There ain't no mistakes in anything that he said. But, you know, of course I'm not going to hear what he's saying, because, you know, he's a Moor, and, you know, a Moor is a Berber, a member of the Caucasoid people of North Africa. You know, like there's Europeans there or whatever. So, okay, fine, whatever. So now he's going to do some more research or whatever. And then goes down now into the family records that the quote-unquote city has. Goes into family records to go see what the city has, and one of his family members was a Bey. Right? He's going around telling the family that they're Moors. They're talking whatever, you're not whatever, you're not no Moor, we're not Moors and all that stuff. But they got a Bey in the city records under his family. And then now he's telling people, now all the Masons are coming out of the family now. Oh yeah, we knew about Uncle whoever, and oh yeah, we know about, starting to piece things together now, realize that all these people have been playing. Whole time. Knew what was up. Knew what was up. You guys playing? And then when we step up and say, oh yeah, we're Moors, we pretend like we don't know what we're talking about. But there's Bey in some of our families. If we go check the records or whatever, if we go study ourselves like Nujwali's told us to do or whatever like that, you get your mind blown. Right? No different than studying ourselves. Come to the realization, hey, hold on a second, how are we slaves to Europeans, but we got street signs? A European giving no slave no street sign. Something's definitely wrong. Somebody's been playing games with my birthrights. And it ain't Webster. Because if you get an unabridged dictionary, you're not going to be talking about no goddamn wagering Webster's warped dictionary. Because ain't nothing warped in the unabridged ones. The unabridged ones will tell you exactly what it is, exactly what's up. You're not playing games with people. They'll tell you exactly what's up. But again, you know, incompetent people who don't study, who think they know something because they got a website or they got a YouTube page or whatever, they can cut and paste, put stuff up, make themselves look smart. Are the biggest self-hating people. Especially ones talking some BS about your nationality and birthrights. Well, you're not Berbers. When Berber comes from the Barbary, and you rule the Barbary, what do you mean? How you not Berbers? What are you talking about? How you figure you're not Arab? Oh, you're African, but you're not Arab. Okay. Well, if Arabia is part of Kush, then what the hell are you talking about? You're not Arab. Arabs are Kushites. Where is it that these people are in their mind? They're in a warped mind. Where are they in their mind? They're not in their mind. Something else is in their mind, has them talking crazy. That they're everything except who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were. Right? They're everything except who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were. Alvin Morrow, Breaking the Curse of Willie Lynch. Right? Another black guy dropping it on these Negroes that they don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept it. When observed, the above is just as physically noticeable in the United States of America as it is in South Africa, where you have an entire segment of the population called colored. The meaning of the word colored means something totally opposite to what black people have traditionally been made to think. When the suffix ed is placed on the end of color, which signifies the past state of a noun or verb after the occurrence of a certain action. In reference to crossbreeding, the word colored has a hormonal effect, which means having the nature of, and is derived from the Greek word horm, H-O-R-M-E, impulse. The significance beneath the surface of these definitions as they relate to the intention of the slave master is to produce internal conflict within the black psyche through contaminating the black slave genetically with the inception of Euro-Gentiles' DNA on a biochemical level. Not only is the bioengineering of different shades necessary to create a psychotic self-hate race war among the black slave population necessary during the days of physical bondage, but today is reinforced socially through desegregation, formerly known as racial integration. This illusion is another aspect of century-old control methods used by every pharaoh throughout history, which is the intermingling of the emotions through alleged social gains from wanting the material benefits that come along with uniting and defending the economic kingdom of the oppressor. Right? Going back to the bourgeoisie again, and the sellouts, and the agents, and the provocateurs, the opportunists, that many have taken the position of presenting our people with illusions as realities. And then when the people follow those illusions into nowhere, the people become lost in the illusion. And we're getting to the time where, it's going to be the point of no return. We're at the threshold of, if you don't know your nationality and birthrights, you're gonna have problems. You're really gonna have problems. Because these people, trust me, are not playing. Right? Their duty and their job, their position, is to make our people who are unconscious Moors remain unconscious Moors. Their position is to make you stay unconscious. And again, like Drew Ali said, my sheep know the sound of my voice, and a stranger will not follow.